In 3 days, it will mark the 20th anniversary of Columbine. 3 days. I remember where I was. I was a junior in high school, sitting in an English class, having a conversation. Legitimately, this is 100% true. Having a conversation about how in school shootings, there was never that high of a body count. Now, I didn't know at the time that Columbine was happening. I didn't know at the time that over 50 kids had been shot and wounded. I didn't know at the time what was going on. When I got home a couple hours later, I did. And I felt terrible for what I had said, even though it had no bearing or no impact or nothing on the situation. But that was my life in April 1999. April 20th, 1999. Hitler's birthday. National Pot Smoking Day. Columbine. And as we come to the 20th anniversary of Comic-Con, of Columbine, Comic-Con, if I could talk, of Columbine, it really does bring up a lot of old thoughts and this balls to the wall crazy story where this Columbine obsessed teenager from Pais, I don't even know how to pronounce that, is dead after sparking a manhunt. Now this popped up like last night. News reports going around looking for this girl right here. This Florida teenager obsessed with Columbine flew to Colorado and got a gun and put hundreds of schools on alert as a result of it. And now she's dead. Let's find out more. The Florida teenager who flew to Colorado bought a weapon and ammunition just days before the 20th anniversary of the Columbine tragedy and soon became the subject of a massive manhunt is dead. Pais, oh, that's her name. Okay. Was found dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound on Wednesday morning near the Echo Lake Lodge at the base of Mount Evans in Clear Creek County. The discovery ended nearly a 24-hour manhunt for the high school student after she boarded a Denver-bound flight Monday, then made threats. So she was a high school student who must have been 18, so she would have been a senior in high school. On nearly the 20th anniversary of this massive shooting, the worst school shooting in America by far, 4 years. Thought to be the, and I hate to use the term, gold standard of a massacre. The type of thing we never want to see again, which has happened. Went there for some unknown reason. Now, because of her comments and her actions, because of her travel here to the state, because of her procurement of a weapon immediately upon arriving here, we considered her to be a credible threat, certainly to the community and potentially the schools. This is coming from Dean Phillips, FBI special agent in charge of the Denver field office. She has had an infatuation with Columbine and the perpetrators of Columbine. Now, this, of course, raises the question, right? This raises that question. Should we name these people? Now, I know people like Philly D doesn't like to name the people. Ben Shapiro doesn't want to name the people. And a lot of it does go back to Dylan Harris and Eric Klebold. Now, I named them, and you might get mad at me for that, but I was in high school when that happened. And that's a big part of my high school experience. And I never really want to forget those fuckheads' names. I never do. Because if I can never fully forget their actions, I'm also not going to forget their name. Not that it makes them live on in infamy. I don't think of their name with fondness and admiration. I look at it as disgust and hate. The type of people that are bad, that are evil, that commit evil acts and do evil things. That's what they're known for. But at the same time, Columbine became its own somewhat pop culture situation, if you think about it. Anyway, officials said that Pais was last seen alive in Jefferson County foothills outside of Denver in a black t-shirt, camouflage pants, and black boots. While on the run, she used a ride-sharing app to get around and legally bought a pump-action shotgun and ammunition. The purchase was made at a Littleton gun shop not far from the campus, where the school shooting was carried out nearly 20 years ago. County officials said threats to public schools in the area were not uncommon, but this one raised eyebrows. Yeah, a little bit. I mean, you could kind of see that, right? Because here's a Florida girl traveling to Denver, immediately, departs her plane, gets in a ride-sharing app, goes to a local gun store, buys a pump-action shotgun, buys ammunition, for shits and grins, because she's traveling in on a Columbine remembrance tour. She's like, I'm going to go out there and play the hits. Anyway. It says here, we're used to threats, frankly, at Columbine, but this one felt different, says John McDonald, who is the executive director of safety at Jefferson County Schools, saying it was different. Authorities pursued the teen. More than 20 schools, including Columbine High, were closed Tuesday afternoon out of precaution. School officials say they locked the doors in part due to the teen's fascination with the tragedy, calling her trip there a pilgrimage. Listen, I can understand that mindset. If I haven't been to Denver ever outside of the airport, but if I were to, spend time in Denver, I would probably drive past Columbine just to see it, on my way to Casa Bonita or something. Like, that's what I would do. But then again, I'm very interested in human psychology pertaining to these kind of people, mostly because there's just a fascination I have with that. I've taken homicide writers courses taught by former homicide detectives, learning about cases and things like that. I find these things to be fascinating, so I would probably just drive by to take a look. I don't think I would take a selfie in front of it. If I'm being honest with you, that would feel a little bit too on the nose, a little bit too inappropriate, but driving by just and seeing the school and taking that all in, considering the fact that I was in high school at the time. I also lived in San Diego when there was the Santee shooting, was like 3 miles from my place. So it's like, it's kind of like, it's a weird thing. But the fact that this girl was out there for some kind of pilgrimage, like she went out there to die, if you want my honest opinion. She went out there to die. Now, McDonald says here, the fact that she was committed, not only purchased a plane ticket, but also made the journey, made that pilgrimage. Authorities also cited troubling statements she made to family and friends, as well as some online postings and communications. The nature of the statements wasn't disclosed, but online journals reported linked the teen to revealed obsession with mortality. Her family reported her missing on Monday night and said she may be suffering from mental health issues. I think maybe she's got a mental problem, her father told the Daily Mail. Authorities said that more details would be released after the FBI processes the scene where her body was found. It's a damn tragedy. It is. Look, this is a teenager who was apparently obsessed with mortality, and in essence, probably immortality, because that ultimately is what that conversation comes down to in regards to talking about these acts and talking about these people and talking about the things that they've done. The fact that I can name, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, that does give them the immortality. While I might view them with disgust in my mind's eye, they do live on, and that is not lost on me by any stretch of the imagination. That's not lost on me at all. But it's just weird. It's just weird, man, that like she went out there. It makes me wonder if she turned on the news and she saw herself and she saw that there was a manhunt for her because of this whole situation, and she just freaked out and killed herself. And if I had to guess, if I had to speculate, which is a lot of what I'm doing here anyway, I would argue that that's probably a fair take on what happened. This girl went out there to do something. I don't think she intended to come back. If she didn't have a return ticket, she wasn't intending on coming back, whether it was going to be by her own hand or it was going to be by someone else's. I will say this though. I am glad that it wasn't an officer that had to put her down. I am glad about that, because that's something that's putting your death on somebody else's hands, on somebody else's conscience, because police officers, what you need to realize, are not they're not taught to shoot to wound. They're aimed to aim at, they're trained to aim at center mass and keep pulling until they hear metal click. And then if the suspect isn't down, to reload and do it all over again. That's what they're taught. And I'm glad that wasn't the case. And I'm sad that this girl is dead. I just don't think she had any intent of coming back. But what I really wonder, though, is where they found her. At the base of Mount Evans. Did that have any connection to Columbine as a whole? Did that have any connection to Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold? Where are those videos that they shot of them firing off guns in the woods? I don't know. But she didn't intend on coming back. And now she's not. I wonder, will this conversation, will this spark a further debate on gun control? If one would even need to come from it. This girl, being of age, legally purchased a shotgun and ammunition and took her own life with it. I'm sure more information will emerge as time goes on. And I'm really hoping that people see this as more of a sign to get help rather than a call to act in that particular same fashion. But I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts, your opinions. Let me know down in the comments below. I will talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day. And be sure to hug the ones you love, just because it's always good advice. Peace out.